The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
It's the BeckyinBoca Show, coming to you live every Thursday night at 6 p.m. from glamorous downtown Boca Raton. So sit back, relax, and let me show you how to indulge yourself Boca style. I have an author here that I'm very excited to talk to, Layne Lieberman. She is the author of Beyond the Mediterranean Diet, European Secrets of the Super Healthy. And I was reading this book on the plane last week, and I couldn't put it down. It's very interesting stuff. And the reason I invited Layne to come in here and talk about her book is that she joined my gym class not too long ago, and I heard she was a famous author. So I started talking to her, and the only reason I was interested is because of the shape she's in. She looks incredible.
Oh, thanks, Becky.
And
so do you.
Well, thank you. But, you're the person I want diet advice from. There's a lot of people that write books, but I see her in the gym. She's one of these people that can wear the little short top and show the abdomen and all that. And so I thought, well, I got to find out exactly how she does it. So because as we discussed, exercise is only 20 or 30% of
right.
the
diet is
problem.
about at least 70%.
Yeah, so that's more important. Are we wasting our time in the gym?
No. Okay. You need both. Absolutely.
We're in there every day for an hour. It's hard. That's not easy, is it?
It's not easy.
Yeah, that's a tough
But we have
one.
to do both. Diet, nutrition, and fitness. I mean, it all works together.
This is her book, and now she's going to tell us.
Thank
she's
you.
going to tell us the secrets. Can you give us like some?
Well, first I just wanted to let you know I am a registered dietitian.
Right.
So it's really important when you get advice for nutrition and diet. There are a lot of people out there giving advice and saying they're coaches and professionals. And
right.
You really should make
Everybody's
sure.
got a diet.
And that you're licensed in Florida as well. I mean, I'm licensed in Florida as a registered dietitian. It's really important.
Okay.
That's somebody who has the credentials.
Right.
And I have a lot of experience in medical nutrition, and I've been in the supermarket
I noticed that
industry.
when I was reading the book. I like that aspect because I've read a lot of diet books over the years, but yours had a lot of medical information.
Yeah,
and statistics, good stuff. I mean,
exactly. But the basis and the reason. I mean, I started when I was very young to have a tremendous interest in nutrition and diet because I had high cholesterol at a very young age.
I was reading that.
Yeah,
it's hard to believe.
I mean, and it was scary.
How old were you?
I was 9 years old. It was sort of really before the time when doctors even
How
tested.
did you even find out you had high cholesterol?
My pediatrician did a finger prick. It was like the first machine that could, finger, you could find out your cholesterol. And it was really scary as a young kid. I mean,
Were you overweight?
No, not overweight. I was just my body was producing it. And at that time, it was it was a sign of success when your family had a half a cow in the freezer. And,
I remember having
right?
Nobody does that anymore.
No. But at that
that
time.
the rotary phone.
Yeah, exactly. So, we ate meat almost every night.
Sure, meat and potatoes.
Meat and potatoes and, eggs for breakfast. And it was butter and margarine.
But most people didn't have high cholesterol at 9 years old.
Well, we
didn't know.
We didn't know,
yeah,
right?
Maybe.
It wasn't being tested.
True.
And it really motivated me and had such an impact on, what I wanted to do in my life. And from then on, I was writing.
Because you had to at a young age.
Because I had to deal with it.
Yeah.
And, my parents weren't really that into understanding about what to do. And, it was scary. I needed to take control of my own diet and nutrition. And how do I do that? So I did a lot of research as a young kid. And I started when I was in high school.
It's nice that you knew what you wanted to do at a young age.
Oh, yeah. And then I went on after, writing for local papers in high school and working as, in the heart surgical unit at a hospital when I was really 15 years old, very young, as I got older. And then, went to Cornell, studied nutritional biochemistry, pre-med, went on to New York University.
Yeah, I like that. Somebody writing a diet book that actually knows all that stuff makes me a lot more comfortable than just somebody giving diet tips.
Right, diet tips or doing...
I was reading in here that you actually moved to Switzerland, right?
Yeah, so after being in the food industry for 20 years as director of nutrition for America's First Supermarket and also having private practices and doing this medical nutrition research at Albert Einstein College of Medicine, my husband, and sort of being fed up with what was going on in the U.S., because it was just always a conflict about, the newest fad diet and trying to educate consumers about eating healthy, yet not insulting these fast food companies or these junk food companies, especially being in the supermarket industry. It was a challenge. So, it was interesting when my husband had the opportunity to have a job overseas in Switzerland. I said, wow,
So you moved to Geneva?
Yeah, we moved to Geneva,
how fun.
which was great, wonderful.
Now, are the Swiss in a lot better shape than the Americans?
So I did. I did a statistical analysis of. I decided, okay, now is the time to really study other cultures. It was an eye-opening experience, even getting on the plane and being served the
you said
meal.
the plane food was a lot better than.
It was just.
I was on an airplane when I was reading your book. So.
Yeah, the U.S. Airlines versus
now
everything.
you get a big can of potato chips.
Yeah, it's really sad. Anyway, so having the experience and being over there and being able to really get into the culture, assimilating
see what the difference is
and
between
having
the Americans.
friends there and living their life and working with farmers and chefs and
your diet is not restrictive.
No, because
cheese, bread, milk, all that stuff.
What I learned,
desserts,
which is so interesting, is that the Italians would never give up pasta, the French would never give up their cheese and their wine, and the Swiss are eat a lot of dairy, and they would never give those things up. Their cultural food habits for some fad diet, or
like we do.
I know we're always on the next thing. So it's really important to realize that you don't have to be
you don't have to not eat bread. You don't
right,
have
and
to
you don't have to be on deprivation, and you don't
right.
have to be on a paleo diet, and you don't have to be gluten free unless you have celiac disease or you really do have gluten intolerance and you've gone
What
through
about bread? Everybody tells me they don't eat bread.
Right, there's no reason not to eat bread and pasta, but of course it's a lot healthier to eat whole grains, ancient grains, breads made with whole grains. And, the Italians aren't going to eat a loaf of bread and then eat a huge portion of pasta. They eat smaller portions.
Yeah, so that is true. They eat smaller. They eat less than us.
They do. And, again, Americans think about, what, am I getting more value? I want a supersized popcorn. And,
I think I read in here that, is it the French that are the thinnest people?
Statistically, the French, the Swiss, and the Italians have the longest lifespans. They are the leanest, and they have the lowest rates of heart disease. And Italians now are a little bit better than the French and maybe even the Swiss, because they just did another.
The Italians are.
Yeah, the Italians.
They eat everything.
And they really,
they eat well.
But they, again, even with wine, think about this. Americans go to a bar, I'll have a glass of wine, to be social, and they start drinking without food. Europeans sip wine slowly and they drink their wine
always with food. Okay.
They might have an aperitif and have a little white wine with some seltzer water or some other mix in it, a juice of some sort. They don't go to a bar to drink, to get drunk.
That's interesting.
Yeah, things are very different. And as I lived there, I learned all the different habits. So it's also about portion and dietary habits and how they food shop and how they eat out. And
you said they shop more often than we do.
Oh, yeah. Their refrigerators are much smaller. They're used to going to
Why are their refrigerators small?
Because their living spaces are smaller.
Okay.
And everything.
Some government regulation, you can't have a big fridge in Switzerland?
No, but everything is, the whole lifestyle is different. They don't have big homes. They're used to living in smaller quarters. There's more concentration of population. But what's really interesting is food production is local, too. And people are, they love to go to the farmers markets and the local markets around town every 2 to 3 days because it's a social experience. And they get to know who's providing their food and who's growing their food. And, it's more than just going to the grocery store and filling up your basket and stuffing all the food
in the grocery store.
Yeah, it's
better find an outdoor market that I can go to. And you said that in these countries, people move around more, too. On their feet,
Exactly. And, so another thing we can do to sort of mimic this lifestyle is to go out and walk more. And even I know Boca is not really a community where walking is a big part of lifestyle.
I walk all over Boca.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, that's great. Well, you're
But I live in that area. So I live in East Boca, so I can do that. But you're right. People get in their cars.
They get in their cars. But even if you need to go to a destination, so park 15 minutes away.
And make walking part of it.
make time to walk, and it's lifestyle activity and exercise that really makes a difference. It's not about going to the gym an hour. It's about
then you're done. Then go
right, and then go sit on the couch. Right, and this is what they do. I mean, they're all.
Do they go to gyms? Or do they?
Not very much.
Not like
very
we do.
rarely.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a big part of their culture.
They don't need to.
They like to go skiing in the winter on the weekends. I mean, they do things where they'll go swimming in the lake in Geneva, in the summertime. It's more, again, of a social
and you said
lifestyle.
A lot of people take a walk after dinner.
Oh, and they walk before
dinner. How many of
dinner.
us go after our big dinner let's go take a walk?
It's true.
But I can see where that would be very helpful.
Oh, yeah, and it helps digestion, and it'll
Right.
help you sleep better on the activity, and again, the socialization. In Europe also, people are out socializing in the evening too. They're talking, and dinner time is not just about gulping food down. I mean, it takes 20 minutes for the brain to register fullness.
So they take longer to eat,
Oh, they
right?
do, and they don't rush you out of restaurants, and
Right.
they would never say, "Oh, there's another seating, you have to leave," by such and such time. It's about talking and relaxing and eating slowly and registering fullness and enjoying a meal. And it's not about, again, how quickly can we grab something and go and eat.
Well, that's what I liked about this book. It's not about deprivation. It's not like a diet book like, okay, you can only eat this much on this, per day, and you have to monitor everything. You're telling me I can eat just about anything. It's just portion size.
It's the portion size and quality. The other important, I think one of the most important things that I learned is how into they are about choosing organic, local, sustainable food. And it's not that they market it like that. It's always been like that.
What they want.
I mean, Italy never used a lot of chemicals because they couldn't afford to use a lot of chemicals on their farmlands. And, grass-fed cows were part of the culture in Switzerland. I mean, cows were fed on grass because that's the way that's the natural way.
It sounds so much healthier, too. When you
Well, I mean, grass-fed, you get more omega-3 fatty acids. I mean,
I've been buying grass-fed butter lately because I've heard it's healthier.
It's so much
and before,
healthier.
I never even knew there was such a thing.
Right. No, and so that's why, again, it's not, this whole marketing of, you have to eat this way, you have to eat that way, that they've been doing things more naturally, again, for so many years.
So they don't have all the preservatives in their food?
They don't have the preservatives and chemicals. In fact, a lot of the preservatives and chemicals that we have in our food are banned and illegal to use in Europe, which is really amazing. Even like the dyes that were in M&Ms or in, some of the energy drinks that we have on the market today. I mean, you'll find those same products with different ingredients in Europe because it's illegal to do that.
Oh, wow.
Even flour. So, we talk about, can we have bread? Well, white bread that's bromated is probably really bad for us.
The shelf life of bread, that was in here too.
Yes.
You can buy a loaf of bread at Publix here and eat it for a week.
And eat it for a
But
month.
You're saying, all right, so you're saying over there, it's good for a day.
Yeah, it's good for a day because there's no preservatives. They're using local grains.
So it's the preservatives, okay.
It's also preservatives. So everybody's looking for the magic bullet. Like,
Right.
what is it that's going to make me healthy and fit and live long? And it's not about that. It's a lifestyle. And that's what Beyond the Mediterranean Diet talks
And
about,
that's
the
what
lifestyle.
I liked about it.
Yeah, and it's also a cookbook, so there's recipes.
There's a lot of good recipes in there.
Yeah, and they're easy and simple. 10 recipes for breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, and desserts. The Europeans, the French, Italian, and the Swiss, they mostly use fruit for desserts. So there's recipes in there for like poached pears or roasted
But I think
figs.
you have a chocolate recipe or too, don't you?
Oh, there are great chocolate recipes
From the Swiss.
Exactly.
I was like, ooh, I got to try these.
And they're easy. I mean, just a few ingredients, and it's better.
And we can eat chocolate? That's okay?
Yes, but of course it's the quality again. So,
Yeah.
More dark chocolate, at least 70% or more percent cocoa. And I always recommend to use cocoa powder because that's just, there's no fat in there. You're getting all the antioxidants and the phytochemicals and the cocoa powder. And I have some recipes like for mousse in there with tofu, cocoa powder, a little maple syrup, some blackstrap molasses, which has a lot of iron in it, and a banana in the blender. You don't even have to cook it, and it makes the most delicious mousse.
Ooh, I'm going to try that one.
Yeah, I mean, so there's lots of great, easy recipes in there. There's also a guide on eating out, how to shop healthy in the grocery store, and, tips about the dietary secrets of each of the 3 countries, the healthiest countries in Europe, based on, again, the health statistics. And also on my website, you can go to World RD, where I do lots of recipes and nutrition blogs so that you can stay up to date with what's out there in nutritional science. It's always based on science,
That's
backed
what I like
nutrition.
about your book. Yeah, you have a lot of scientific facts in here and a lot about nutrition because of your background.
Yeah. And, look, again, my whole goal is to help people help themselves and not think that they have to be on any restrictive diet.
That's what I loved about it.
Yeah.
It was like, I was like, oh no, another diet book. What can't I eat now? But you're going through everything. Every possible thing you could want to eat is in here.
Well, and again, it's the portion control, the portion size, and the quality.
The quality of it. Yeah.
And those are very, very, very important. And, bringing it home with your lifestyle and how you teach your children and how your kids can learn about cooking at home. I'm also a big promoter of learning how to get back in the kitchen. Cooking.
Boca Raton people don't spend a lot of their time in their kitchens, do they?
Which is really funny to me.
Is that unusual for you?
Yeah, it is. I'm originally a New Yorker, and I live in Colorado as well. But coming to Florida and seeing that people are not as much engaged in, preparing their own food. But you'd be surprised how much salt and fat and sugar is used in restaurant kitchens.
Oh, yeah, because how can everything taste that delicious if they're not putting in what makes it taste delicious?
But you can make it taste delicious.
And why
that's what I promise.
Right.
If you just try some of the recipes, you don't need, if you're using good ingredients that have good quality, you really don't need to add so much salt, sugar, and fat. When you go to the restaurants.
Okay. We got to go here, but Beyond the Mediterranean Diet. And tell us how your website.
You could buy it at Amazon.com or Barnes & Noble. You could actually order it in the store at Barnes & Noble. Some of the stores actually carry the book in stock.
Okay.
Or go to my website, World, like the world, RD, like registered dietitian.com, worldrd.com.
This is definitely worth taking a look at because you're not going to deprive yourself. You'll be very healthy if you eat this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in.
Oh, that's great.
Want to see you in the gym tomorrow?
Yeah. I hope so.
Do you know what our workout is?
Do it. No,
are we doing legs?
Sure. What are we doing tomorrow?
I don't know. You weren't there today.
No, I
You
wasn't.
cheated. Okay. All right, we're off air. Thank you. That was fun.
Oh, that was great.
You have been watching and listening to The Becky and Boca Show. Tune in every Thursday night at 6 p.m. to discover all the ways to spoil yourself and have a good time in beautiful Boca Raton. See you next week.
The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and